This paper 6, paper 4, region 2. And how many questions we have completed yesterday? Hafsa, can you please tell me? I think we have completed till question number 4. And we have to start. No, we have already done the question number 5 as well. So we have to start from question number 6. All right. And question number 6 is basically related to the topic of light, lenses. All right. So now, students, make yourself ready to start from question number 6. In question number 6, they are saying figure 6.1 is a full scale drawing of an object. Full scale drawing means it's a scale diagram. Scale diagram means you can do the measurement with the help of the meter rule in this diagram. A thin converging lens L and the image I of the object O. So now you can see in this diagram, object O is given, image I is given, and focal point is missing. They have not marked the focal point. So what they are saying in this question, in A part 1, identify Z. So what is Z here, student? This is the line which is passing through the optical center. So what is the name of the line Z, students? Yes, beta. Okay, students. So line Z is basically principal axis. Okay. Line Z is basically principal axis. Principal axis is the line which is passing through the optical center. All right. And this line is an imaginary line which we use to observe the principal axis. All right. Which we use to draw the ray diagram like object and image. Exactly, Abdul Rafi. So basically, this line Z is principal axis. So I'm writing here, principal axis is the line which is passing through the optical center of the lens, and this diagram is used to observe the object and image. Now in next part, they are saying determine the focal length of the lens L. Show any working in the space provided or in figure 6.1. So the question is, how can we find the focal length? Can anybody tell me how can we find the focal length in this question? Yes, students, how can we find the focal length of this question? देखिए बेटा, to find the focal length, we have to draw the three lines, three rays. All right, ray number 1, ray number 2, and ray number 3. All right. Okay, Hafsa. देखिए बेटा, ray number 1 will always pass from object head through the center of the lens. All right, so this is the ray number 1, which will always pass straight. It will always pass from object head through the center of the lens and it will meet to the image. Now we have to draw the ray number 2. Ray number 2, first it will go straight parallel to the principal axis to the center of the lens. All right, students, you can see ray number 2 will go first straight parallel to the principal axis to the center of the lens. Then it will cut the focal point. But focal point is not here. So what we will do, we will join this ray with the image. We will join this ray with the image. All right. So now you can see the point at which this ray number 2 is intersecting the principal axis. This point is called focal point. Let me mark with a different color so you can identify it up. The line which is intersecting the principal axis, this point is called focal point. And we have to find the focal length. Focal length is basically the distance between the optical center and the focal point. So this is the optical center and this is focal point. So this horizontal length is basically focal length. All right. Yes, Abdul Rafi, your statement is correct, beta. So again, let me tell you this thing. Acha, we can find the focal length at the back side of the lens as well. Like for example, if I draw the ray number 3 will go straight parallel to the principal axis, same like ray number 2. Now we will join this ray with the object head like this. So you can see the point at which ray number 3 will intersect the principal axis. This point is the focal point. And let me tell you one thing, student, that the focal point on either side of the lens is at the same distance. All right, these 2 points are at the same distance. So you can measure any of the length with the help of the meter rule. These two distances are basically telling us this is the focal length of the lens. Did you understand this question, students? Those who have joined late, let me tell you again that we are solving the same paper, Feb March 2026, paper 4, variant 2. Yesterday we have completed till question number 5, and now we have started from question number 6. This question is interesting, student, because in this question they have not given us the focal point. So basically we have to identify the focal point by constructing the ray diagram. Any confusion here, students? Okay, all right. So let me clear the screen. I'm going to clear the screen, student. I hope you all have understood this diagram. Now, focal length. I'm not going to write the value of focal length. The reason is that the scale is not given in this app. So I have to open the OneNote. But if you have hard copy, beta, it is better to measure with the help of the hard copy. I have shared the soft copy of this file with you on the WhatsApp group. So take out the print, all right, and measure the focal length with the help of the meter rule. Now, in the third part, they are saying the image in figure 6.1 is inverted image. State two other characteristics of the image. So they have already mentioned inverted image. So if you will write the inverted again, so examiner will not give you marks. And remember, beta, inverted images are always real images. Upright images are always virtual images. Let me tell you the difference between real and virtual images. देखिए बेटा, real images are those images which can be captured on a screen, like projector image. All right, real images are those which can be captured on screen. I'm writing the definition because such type of definition can be asked of 1 mark, student. Real images are those images which can be captured on screen, and example of real image is basically projector image, because we can capture the projector image on the white screen. So such type of images are real images. All right. And what about the virtual images? Virtual images are those which cannot be captured on screen. All right, which cannot be captured on screen. So example of virtual images captured on screen. All right. Example of virtual images are mirror images, like the image which we observe on in the mirror. That images cannot be captured on the white screen. So such images are virtual images. But my question is, how can we identify in this diagram whether the image is real or virtual? Because with the help of this diagram, I am unable to identify whether it is real or virtual. So it's a simple trick, beta. If the image is inverted means it is upside down. So such images are real images. All right. Inverted images are real images. इसकी एक आसान शॉर्टकट टिप मैं आपको बता रही हूँ. लेंस के टॉपिक में इन्वर्टेड इमेजेस आर रियल. अब इसकी डेफिनेशन ये मत लिख दीजिएगा प्लीज, ठीक है. डेफिनेशन मैंने आपकी स्क्रीन पे लिख दी है. रियल इमेजेस आर दोस व्हिच कैन बी कैप्चर्ड ऑन स्क्रीन. All right, but in the lens question, obviously it is difficult for us to identify. So that's why I'm telling you again, inverted images are real. But if we are getting the image like here, so it means this image is upright. So upright images are virtual images. All right, students, upright images are virtual images. Inverted images, inverted means upside down. Such images are real images. All right. So this is the trick to identify whether the image of the lens is in real or virtual. So now we have to write the two characteristics of the image. So this image is real because it is inverted, and you can measure the height of object and height of image. So here the height of object is equals to the height of image. So it means that this image is of same size. All right, students, this image is of same size. All right, so these are the two characteristics, beta, real image or inverted image. So now students, I'm going to show you this simulation to understand the concept of lens. So in this question, which is given in the paper, you can see the height of object and height of image is same. So let me draw this diagram on this bigger lens. Okay. So you can see this is the convex lens, which is thicker from the center, thinner from the edges. All right. Focal length of the lens is 4 centimeter. All right, students. So what I'm doing, I have to place the object exactly twice distance of focal length. Like the focal length is at 4 centimeter. So now I will place the object at 8 centimeter. And the object height should be 2 centimeter. So now you can see HO means height of object. So height of object is 2 centimeter. And you can see the ray number 1, it is passing in a straight line. And this ray number 1 is passing through the optical center. All right. And you can see, beta, I have drawn the same diagram. Ray number 2 will pass straight parallel to the principal axis till the center of the lens. Then it will intersect this point. Okay. This was the ray number 1, which is passing straight. And this is the ray number 3. Ray number 3 will first intersect the focal point and then it will pass straight. So all these rays are intersecting at the single point where we will get the image. So you can see, beta, the height of image is also occupying the two boxes. So height of object, image and height of object are same and they both are at 2 centimeter. Acha, can anybody tell me the application of such type of setup where the object height and the image height is same? So where can we use this type of setup? What is the use of this type of setup, students? Come on, beta, where we can use such type of setup? Photo? Which photo, Hafsa? Photocopy machine. All right. We can use such type of setup in photocopy machine. Zuresh, beta, mirror and lenses are totally different thing. We are not studying the mirror, beta. We are studying the lens. Okay. Photocopy machine. In photocopy machine, the image height and object height is same. So it means that in photocopy machine, the object is placed at the twice focal length of the lens so that we will get the same size image. All right, students. And you can see this image is inverted. So it means we are getting the real image. Inverted images are real images. All right. And let me show you the virtual image as well. Like if I will move the object close to the lens, so you can see when the object is placed, between the focal point and optical center, so it means that the image is formed at the same side of the lens. Can you see this, students? When the object is placed very close to the lens, like it is in between the focal point and optical center, so the image will not form at this side. Image will form at the same side where the object is placed, and this is the upright image. So you can see, student, this upright image is a virtual image. So I told you this tip that inverted images are always real images and virtual images are upright. Upright images are virtual images. Is it clear to you, students? All right. So let's move towards our paper. Okay, we have done these two characteristics of the image, that the image is of same size and real. Now look at the next part B. What they are saying in this part, figure 6.2 shows a different converging lens with a focal length f. So here they have already marked the focal length. G beta and Aya, all 6 cases are the part of your syllabus. All right. All 6 cases of convex lens only, not concave lens. Only convex lens are the part of your syllabus. So now you can see focal point is drawn on each side of the lens. The lens in figure 6.2 is used as a magnifying glass. So this is the last case, beta, where the lens is used as a magnifying glass, and in magnifying glass object is placed very close to the lens and image is formed at the same side. So the last diagram which I shown you, this is the case of magnifying glass where the object is placed very close to the lens in between focal point and optical center. All right, when the object is placed between the focal point and optical center, so the image will be formed at the same side. So this is the case of a magnifying glass. All right. So now what they are saying, draw an X on figure 6.2 to show a position of an object which produce a magnified image. Magnified image. So now students, you can see to produce the magnified image, or we have to use this setup in a magnifying glass. So this is the only condition. This is the only condition where the object is exactly placed between the focal point and optical center. So image is formed at the same side of the lens. So this setup is used in the magnifying glass. All right, students. So now we have to mark with the letter X. So this is the optical center, students. The center of the lens. This is the focal point. So I will mark the letter X at the in between the focal point and optical center. All right, students. Is it clear to you, everyone? This paper mark scheme is not available on any website. So that's why I'm discussing this paper. So please note down each and every answer, whatever I'm discussing with you. All right. Now you can see in the next part too, put a tick alongside the two statements which describe the position of the magnified image. So we have to discuss the characteristics of the magnified image. So first of all, look at here, beta. This image is upright. Upright means it is not upside down. It's a erect image, upright image. All right. And this image is virtual. And you can see the object height is 2 centimeter. How do I know the object height is 2 centimeter? Because it is occupying the two vertical boxes. So you can see the height of object is 2 centimeter and the height of image 1, 2, 3, 4. It is occupying 4 boxes. So height of image is 4 centimeter. So it means that the student that the image is large as compared to the object. So it's a magnified image. All right, the student, it's a magnified image. So now we have to place the tick on two boxes on, not two boxes. Yeah, they are saying two statements. So now they are saying the image is formed on the opposite side of the lens. No, we have already seen that the image is formed on the same side of the lens. So where the object is placed. Now you can see on the same side of the lens as the object is placed. So yes, this statement is correct. So we have to place a tick here. Now in the next part, they are saying the same distance from the lens as the object. So it's not necessary that the image is at the same distance from as the lens of the object. You can see this diagram, students. Let me show you again. This is the DO. DO means distance of object from the lens is 2 centimeter, because you can see it is occupying the two horizontal boxes and the distance of image is at 4 centimeter. So if I will count the boxes like you can from the optical center, so you can see 1 minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is occupying the 4 boxes. So it means that the students that the distance of image and the lens is 4 centimeters. So again, student, this statement is not correct. Now they are saying closer to the lens than the object. Again, it is an incorrect statement because here you can see the image is far away from the object. Object is closer to the lens, but image is far away. So we have only one choice, that is the last option, further away from the lens than the object, obviously. This is the correct statement. All right, so we have to place the two boxes, two ticks on the box number 2 and in the last box number 5. Did you understand this question, students? All right. Now I'm going towards the next question. We have completed the question number 6. Next question is related to electricity, one of my favorite topic. Question number 7. In question number 7, they are saying figure 7.1 shows two identical cells in series with a thermistor and a fixed resistor. So you can see one symbol of cell is like this. So you can see these are the two identical cell. Identical cell means each cell has the same EMF. All right. And they are connected with a thermistor and fixed resistor. So you can see with a thermistor, this is thermistor and this is a fixed resistor. These two components are connected in series with the battery. Battery means two identical cells. The switch is open and ammeter is connected in series and voltmeter is connected in parallel combination with these two components. Okay. Now they are saying the switch is closed. The reading on the voltmeter is 9 volt. So the reading the voltmeter is recording is 9 volt. Now they are saying the reading on the ammeter is 4.6 A. Can anybody tell me what is MA here? Exactly, milliampere. Exactly, beta, milliampere. Acha, you know what most of the time students do this type of mistake. They write the value of current 4.6 ampere. They overlook this M. So remember, beta, it's a milliampere current. Milliampere means 4.6 into 10 raised to power minus 3 ampere. It's a very small current. Okay. Now they are asking, determine the EMF of one cell. It's an interesting question, beta. We have to determine the EMF of one cell and we have to write the unit of cell EMF as well. So basically, the voltmeter is recording 9 volt. And if you observe closely, voltmeter is directly connected with the battery in parallel combination. It means that it is recording the total voltage of a battery. Battery word I am using here because when two cells are connected in series, so they will form a battery. All right. So these are the two identical cells. Well done, Abdul Rafi, which are connected in series. All right. These are the two identical cells which are connected in series. So together they have voltage 9 volt. So it means the student each cell will have a voltage of 4.5 volt because when the two cells are connected in series, their EMF is always added. Like the EMF of cell 1 plus EMF of cell 2 is equals to 9 volt. And each cell is identical, so we can replace E1, E2 with the letter E. So E plus E is equals to 9 volt. So 2E is equals to 9 volt. So the EMF of each cell is 9 divided by 2. We will get 4.5 volt. So one cell EMF is 4.5 and the unit of EMF is volt. Alright, volt is a unit of EMF, volt is a unit of voltage and volt is a unit of potential difference as well. Alright, students. So did you understand this question, everyone? Okay, excellent. Alright, now I'm going to clear the screen. I'm moving towards the next part. In the next part, they are saying complete the sentence to define electric current. So what is the definition of electric current, beta? Electric current means number of electrons flowing through a conductor in a particular time. That is defined as electric current. Number of electrons, number of electrical charges, which is flowing through a conductor per unit time is defined as electric current. So now they are saying electric current is the amount of charge. Amount of electrons तो नहीं लिख सकते ना obviously. Electrons तो number of electrons होते हैं. ठीक है? Electron तो एक discrete quantity है, continuous नहीं है. ठीक है? So it means that electric current is the amount of charge passing a point per unit time. Basically, what is the formula of electric current? Electric current formula is Q upon T. So Q is charge and T is time. अगर यहाँ पे अमाउंट की जगह नंबर लिखा हुआ होता तो हम कह सकते थे नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, ठीक है, बट दे आर यूजिंग अमाउंट ऑफ चार्ज हो सकता है, अमाउंट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स ही हो सकता है, ठीक है. So electric current is the amount of charge passing a point per unit time is defined as electric current and its formula is I is equals to Q upon T. Is it clear to you, everyone? Okay, now I'm moving towards the next part. In the part C, it has a weightage of 3 marks. The resistance of the fixed resistor is 480 ohm. We have to calculate the resistance of the thermistor. We have to calculate the resistance of the thermistor. So this question is interesting because in this question they are saying the resistor of fixed resistor resistance is 480 ohm and we have to calculate the resistance of thermistor. So beta, there are different ways to solve such type of question. There are lots of ways. So I will use the easier way to find the answer of this question. Achha, tell me one thing, beta, that they have already given us the electric current which is flowing through this circuit is 4.6 milliampere. It is the amount of current which is flowing through this circuit. And it's a series circuit. So in series circuit, current is same across each resistor. Each resistor means across thermistor and across fixed resistor as well. So we have the current across the fixed resistor. Well done, Abdul Rafi. Let me check. 4.6 milliampere. We have resistance of this fixed resistor. Can we calculate voltage across this fixed resistor, students? Voltage means potential difference. By using the formula V is equals to IR. So now, students, I am calculating the potential difference across this fixed resistor. Alright, so electric current value is 4.6 into 10 raised to power minus 3 and the resistance is 480 ohm. Now multiply both of them, students, and tell me what potential difference we are getting across this fixed resistor. Hurry up. Multiply both of them, students. 2.2. Well done, Vania. Well done, Abdul Rafid. 2.2 volt. So basically, we are getting 2.2 volt across this fixed resistor. So let me write here the 2.2 volt across this fixed resistor. And the total voltage of a battery is 9 volt. So it means that the voltage across the thermistor, we can easily find the voltage across the thermistor. देखिए बेटा, एक चीज याद रखें कि 9 वोल्ट पूरे के पूरे सर्किट में कहीं ना कहीं तो डिवाइड होंगे. So if total battery voltage is 9 volt and the resistor is potential difference across the resistor is 2.2 volt. So how much voltage thermistor is getting? So 9 minus 2.2, how much voltage we are getting across the thermistor, students? 9 minus 2.2, well done, 6.8 volt. Well done, students. VT is the voltage or potential difference across the thermistor, that is 6.8 volt. So now, students, we have potential difference across the thermistor, that is 6.8 volt. We have current across the thermistor, that is 4.6 into 10 raised to power minus 3 ampere. So by using the formula V is equals to IR, I can calculate the resistance of this thermistor. All right. So we have to find R. So we will make it independent. R is equals to V upon I. V is the potential difference across the thermistor, which is 6.8 volt. Current across the thermistor is 4.6 into 10 raised to power minus 3 ampere. So now divide both of them and tell me what resistance we are getting here. One four seven 1478. All right, 1478.3 ohm. So if I will round it off, beta, so after rounding off, we are getting the resistance 1480 ohms. So I rounded off nearest 10. So 1480 ohm is the resistance of this thermistor. Did you understand each and every step which I solved here, beta? No, Hafsa, there is no hard and fast rule that we have to always round it off to the nearest 10. Basically, इस वक्त मुझे nearest सबसे 10 ही नजर आया क्योंकि 78 nearest 80 के close है, तो मैंने इसको 80 पे राउंड ऑफ कर दिया. ठीक है, आप एज इट इज आंसर लिख सकते हो. All right. Can I clear the screen, everyone? Ayan, are you understanding? Alize? All right. So now I'm going to clear the screen, student. I hope you have understood this calculation. All right. So let's move towards the next. Acha, there is one more part D. In part D, they are saying the thermistor is placed in a beaker of ice. Obviously, thermistor is a type of resistor whose resistance can be changed with the change in temperature. So now we are placing the thermistor in the beaker of ice. So basically the thermistor temperature will decrease. So as the thermistor temperature will decrease, its resistance will increase. Because thermistor temperature and resistance are inversely related with each other. So now they are saying the temperature of the thermistor decreases. State how this change in temperature affects the reading on the voltmeter and ammeter. And this question has a weightage of 1 mark only. So it's a very easy question, students. डिक्रीज, अब्दुल राफी, डिक्रीज का वर्ड आपने वोल्ट मीटर के लिए यूज किया है या एमीटर के लिए? वोल्ट मीटर रीडिंग विल इंक्रीज और डिक्रीज स्टूडेंट्स, वोल्ट मीटर एंड एम मीटर. एम मीटर इंक्रीज होगा एंड व्हाट अबाउट वोल्ट मीटर स्टूडेंट्स? वोल्टेज इंक्रीज होगा, हफ्सा कह रही है. एम मीटर की रीडिंग इंक्रीज होगी, अब्दुल राफी कह रहे हैं. व्हाट अबाउट वोल्ट मीटर स्टूडेंट्स? वोल्ट मीटर की रीडिंग डिक्रीज होगी. एवरीवन इज सेइंग वोल्ट मीटर. भाई एक बात बताएं बेटा आप लोग कि पोटेंशियल डिवाइडर आप तो पढ़ चुके हैं ना बेटा. देखिए ना, अभी मैंने आपको ये बात कही कि 9 वोल्ट में. अच्छा इनाया, लेट मी शो यू द क्वेश्चन. ओके अब्दुल राफे, वोल्ट मीटर की रीडिंग इंक्रीज होगी, सम आर सेइंग वोल्ट मीटर की रीडिंग डिक्रीज होगी. ये क्वेश्चन है इनाया, ठीक है. ये हमारा क्वेश्चन है. देखिए एक बात बताइए बेटा, 9 वोल्ट की बैटरी है, थर्मिस्टर का वो जो रेजिस्टेंस है वो चेंज हो रही है, ठीक है. लेकिन अगर आप देखें जो वोल्ट मीटर लगा हुआ है वो थर्मिस्टर के अक्रॉस थोड़ी लगा हुआ है स्टूडेंट्स. वोल्ट मीटर जो लगा हुआ है, अगर वो पर्टिकुलर थर्मिस्टर के अक्रॉस लगा हुआ होता तो हम ये कह सकते हैं कि थर्मिस्टर के अक्रॉस वोल्टेज की रीडिंग कम या ज्यादा होगी, बिकॉज इट्स रेजिस्टेंस इज चेंजिंग ड्यू टू द टेम्परेचर. लेकिन वोल्ट मीटर तो टर्मिनल के साथ कनेक्टेड है. टर्मिनल का मतलब समझते हैं स्टूडेंट? ये टर्मिनल होता है, टर्मिनल, ये टर्मिनल है. तो ये तो पूरा का पूरा बैटरी का वोल्टेज रीड कर रहा है स्टूडेंट. यानी कि अगर आप लोग चले वोल्ट मीटर, आप थर्मिस्टर का वोल्टेज इंक्रीज होगा डिक्रीज होगा वट, टर्मिनल वोल्टेज तो सेम रहेगा ना स्टूडेंट्स. अगर थर्मिस्टर का टेम्परेचर कम हो रहा है तो रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज होगी. रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज होगी तो थर्मिस्टर के अक्रॉस वोल्टेज ज्यादा होगा. अगर थर्मिस्टर के अक्रॉस वोल्टेज ज्यादा होगा तो इस फिक्स रेजिस्टर का वोल्टेज कम हो जाएगा. लेकिन ओवरऑल सर्किट का वोल्टेज, इस टर्मिनल का वोल्टेज तो 9 वोल्ट ही रहेगा ना स्टूडेंट्स, वो थोड़ी चेंज होगा. टर्मिनल वोल्टेज सेम रहता है बेटा, ठीक है. अगर एक कंपोनेंट, देखें एक चीज याद रखिए बेटा, सीरीज में कनेक्टेड है ना, सीरीज में एक कंपोनेंट का वोल्टेज अगर बढ़ रहा है तो दूसरे कंपोनेंट का वोल्टेज कम होगा. टोटल वोल्टेज 9 वोल्ट के बराबर ही रहेगा. तो ये वोल्ट मीटर थर्मिस्टर के अक्रॉस नहीं लगा हुआ. हाँ, अगर एग्जामिनर ये वोल्ट मीटर थर्मिस्टर के अक्रॉस लगाता तो हम कह सकते थे कि वोल्ट मीटर की रीडिंग इंक्रीज होगी या डिक्रीज होगी वॉट. लेकिन यहाँ पे वोल्ट मीटर की रीडिंग में स्टूडेंट्स कोई चेंज नहीं आएगा. इट विल रिमेन सेम बिकॉज दिस वोल्ट मीटर इज रीडिंग द बैटरी और टर्मिनल वोल्टेज विच इज 9 वोल्ट. ऑल राइट स्टूडेंट्स, सो देयर इज नो चेंज इन द रीडिंग ऑफ वोल्ट मीटर. देयर इज नो चेंज इन द रीडिंग ऑफ वोल्ट मीटर. अब ये इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है, ठीक है. अच्छा व्हाट अबाउट एमीटर? तो मुझे बताएं कि the thermistor temperature has been decreased because it has been placed in the beaker of ice. तो इसकी रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ी है, इसकी रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ी है, तो रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ने से करंट की वैल्यू क्या होगी स्टूडेंट्स? रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज होती है तो करंट क्या होता है? डिक्रीज होता है. ऑब्वियसली तो एमीटर की रीडिंग क्या हो जाएगी? डिक्रीज हो जाएगी. तो डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग एवरीवन? डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट बेटा? एवरीवन? ओके सुरेश. All right. Now I'm going towards the next question. We have completed this question of electricity, beta. Now I'm moving towards the next question, which is related to electromagnetic induction. Transformer. Transformer is also very interesting topic. All right. So in question number 8, a transformer step down high voltage electricity. So step down transformer are used to decrease the voltage. Basically, there are two types of transformer. One is step up transformer, which is used to increase the voltage, and the second is step down transformer, which is used to decrease the voltage. And remember, beta, transformers always work on AC voltage. They do not work on DC, beta. Transformer always work on AC voltage. Now they are saying the transformer has 6,200 tons on the primary coil. So let me draw the diagram of transformer. This is the primary coil which is connected with the AC supply. This must be the input voltage. And this coil is called the primary coil. Okay, this coil is called the primary coil. All right. And this one is the secondary coil of the transformer, which is connected with any load. This coil is secondary coil. All right. What they are saying in this question, they are saying a transformer has 6,200 turns on primary coil. So primary coil number of turns are represented by NP. N means number of turns. P means primary coil. So primary coil number of turns are 6,200. Okay, Abdul Rafi, let me check beta. And 43 turns on the secondary coil, obviously, because it's a step down transformer. So in step down transformer, secondary number of turns are less than the primary number of turns. Now they are saying the output voltage. Output means the voltage across the secondary coil is 230 volt. Now we have to find the input voltage. Input voltage means we have to find the primary voltage because input is connected with the primary coil and output is connected with the secondary coil. So which formula we will use, beta? We will use the formula of ratio of number of turns to the voltage. So I will write the formula here, NP over NS, which is the ratio of number of turns. It's equals to VP over VS. इसको इस तरह याद रखें बेटा फॉर्मूले को कि अगर मैंने ऊपर नंबर ऑफ टर्न्स में P लिखा है तो यहाँ पे वोल्टेज का भी P आएगा. मैं इस फॉर्मूले को ऐसे भी लिख सकती हूँ NS over NP, लेकिन यह यहाँ पे BS over VP लिखूंगी. बोथ फॉर्मूलाज आर करेक्ट. ठीक है. Acha, so now just we have to put the values in this formula, simplified, we will get the answer. So what we have to find, basically we have to find VP. So I'm using the first one formula. First one मैं इसलिए use कर रही हूँ कि ये VP ऊपर लिखा हुआ है, ठीक है? तो NP की वैल्यू हमारे पास क्या दी हुई है? NP is 6200, NS is 43, VP we have to find and VS is 230. उन दोनों को divide करें, 230 को multiply करें and what answer we are getting? Hafsa is saying, Abdul Rafi is saying 33,162.8 volt. I am repeating, 33,162.8 volt is the primary voltage. Did you understand this question, everyone? Everyone, clear? Okay, good. All right. Have you noted down this calculation? So can I clear the screen, everyone? All right. Now look at the next part. In the next part, they are saying a 2.2 kilowatt. KW means kilowatt. A 2.2 kilowatt kettle is connected to the secondary coil of the transformer. So let me draw the diagram again. This is the primary coil, beta. Secondary coil is connected with the electric kettles. Oh, 1 minute. Secondary coil is connected with the electric kettle. So secondary coil means they have given us the output power. Output, obviously we are taking the output from the secondary coil. So this is the output power of electric kettle, which is 2.2 kilowatt. Now they are saying calculate the current in the primary coil of the step down transformer. Assume that the transformer is 100% efficient. देखिए बेटा, what does it mean by 100% efficient? 100% efficient means there is no loss of power in transformer. This is an ideal transformer. Ideal means input power of transformer is equals to output power. Such type of transformers are ideal. वैसे ऐसे ideal transformers exist नहीं करते. Transformer में power loss बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, ठीक है? So ideal transformer means that the input power of transformer is equals to output power. And what we have to calculate, student, we have to calculate the primary coil current. Primary coil current का